Welcome back to Our Lives Aren't That Interesting, a podcast for people who feel like they're not worth mentioning. Spoilers, you are, and the world is better with you in it. I'm your host, Beks Rowan, they, he, and today we're going to be talking about a time when we really felt just an abundance of love and support, and what that did not just for us, but for the community we were in as a whole. So without further ado, here's the episode.
In our last episode,
we talked about how do you handle being in a space where you don't feel loved, but you can't necessarily leave right away.
Right.
So this week we're going to talk about a time when we did feel really loved and supported.
Yeah.
And
Different church.
different church.
So in one of our churches that we will discuss sometime in the future, I'm not going to tell you when, so that you're waiting in suspense.
This isn't a thriller podcast.
This is a
It's a comedy.
true crime detective.
Jeez.
No.
So now you get the red thread. Where is it? And put it up on the board. Okay. So anyway, at one particular church, I got very sick. Elizabeth got very sick. Bex got very sick.
Yes.
Even our dog got very sick because the house had mold, and the exposure was bad enough that it deteriorated my throat to the place where I couldn't preach every week because I was a mess. And so
It was bad.
yeah, so I was
More on that later.
appointed to a church as an associate pastor where I wouldn't have to preach every week, but I would also have space to get better, to heal. And we went to that church. They were absolutely amazing.
Right.
This church knew how to love their pastors and make them feel not just like you're an employee, but you are
Loved, honored, cared for,
you're part of our
part
family.
of the family.
Yeah. And literally part of our families. People
Right.
would and so when we went there, we had been told we wouldn't have any more kids.
Right.
Because the mold had damaged us pretty badly. And the first question they asked was, when are you going to have a baby? Because every single associate they got within a year had a kid. I mean, literally, every single associate. Every single one.
Every single
You
one.
go to
It's
that
like
church, you have a baby. And
several in a row.
and we were like, well, sorry, we're going to be breaking that trend. And then, surprise! Bex is
6 months later, we're like, oh, I'm expecting.
Yeah. So
Wasn't expecting that. Didn't
we weren't
think I was
expecting
going to be able to.
Yeah, we weren't expecting to be
Yeah.
expecting. Anyway. Where you got that laugh? Anyway, give it back. Anyway, so while we were there, they did several things that just let us know that we mattered to them.
Right.
So among the first things I can think of are Christmas Eve.
The cinnamon rolls. I remember the cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
Anne, who was on our worship team, she would every year make for the pastors on Christmas Eve. The first year I come into my office and like my desk is taken over by food.
There was a whole turkey.
One of the guys,
whole smoked
Ray,
turkey.
who passed away,
Yes.
he smoked a turkey. He smoked 12 turkeys every year. And he did one for himself and his family. And then he gave one to several other people he knew. But he gave one to each of the pastors. Because we're working on Christmas Eve from 5 until midnight.
Right.
And so the next day we're toast.
5 a.m. to, or depending on if
And
it's
it's
a
Depending on
Sunday.
the year.
Christmas Eve was a
If
Sunday.
it's a
It was
Sunday, we're
brutally long.
5
5
to
a.m.
midnight.
to midnight.
Right.
But we have services from 5 p.m. until 11 p.m., which means we're working till midnight, and we're not getting out of the church closing up until after
1, and then you're getting home and getting
Yeah,
stuff arranged for
yeah.
wee
It's-
ones until 2 or 3 in the morning,
and
then
they
the wee ones are up at 6, and you're going, oh my gosh,
God,
so tired.
God.
But anyway,
I know it's your birthday, but really, do I have to be cheery on Christmas? I've had 4 hours of sleep. Anyway, so there was a smoked turkey, and then Anne every year, so that was from Ray, and then Anne would make cinnamon rolls. And all we had to do was warm up in the oven. So we had breakfast for the next morning.
And they did it because they knew their pastors were working hard and their pastors' families were tired from all the support work that we were doing so that they could go to work. And so we had Christmas Day. I mean, almost the entire meal was provided just there as a gift.
As a gift. And there were other things too, but those two stuck out so much because it was just...
Yeah, at 5 years old, we're like, I can't love these people.
These people are...
Right. And even just week to week, helping track down not one but two littles.
Yeah, I remember like we would sprint and like half the youth
was
group
built in a circle, and
go track
you
the
could
kids down.
chase children down very easily.
Yeah.
But I had so much help.
Even before that, the day we moved in, do you remember? So one of our members who had been at an earlier church, she was a sweet old lady. I'll tell that story sometime. But her name was Greta Milburn. Greta, she had been a member of my church 2 churches prior, and then she health was deteriorating, and she moved to where her son and daughter-in-law lived so that they could keep an eye on her and help her out more. And so, she moved like 6 months after we left that church. And then we're unloading as we're, the truck's gone, we're unpacking.
This is now, 3-4 years after that. We couldn't see her anymore.
3 years. Yeah,
3 years later.
Because when we move churches, we don't contact because we want the next pastor to be able to have a ministry without me or somebody else interfering, right? So we remove contact and we just give distance.
Yes.
And so, but she had moved, and our doorbell rings. Bing, bing.
Right.
And
we're
open
still
the door.
Unpacking the house.
We're still unpacking. And here's Greta Milburn, and I'm like, what the heck are you doing here? And she said, I remembered Beks likes sweet potato casserole I made. Here you are. Welcome to our church. I moved here 2.5 years ago because my health wasn't doing great, and my son lives here, and we go to your church. And I was like,
and several other people at that church showed up moving day with paper plates, cups, napkins, everything we needed, a whole lunch.
Yeah.
Like, you're too busy unpacking a moving truck. Here you go. Here's your lunch. And they stayed and brought enough so that they could stay and eat with us and get to know us. Which was so great.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it was absolutely amazing.
Right.
It was absolutely amazing. Our staff parish, which is sort of like
paper airplane.
That was a different church. We'll tell that story later.
So, which is sort of like the HR department of your church,
right?
The human resources. They did a party for us every year. I don't know if you know, but Christmas time is busy for pastors and their families.
And their staff.
It's for everybody. For everybody, it's busy. But for pastors, we have a lot of extra stuff going on. And when you have children's ministry, you have a lot extra going on. So we would have...
multiple full-on productions. Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, and so just not a lot of time. So they would hold off our Christmas party until January. And... we had a couple members of our staff parish who were amazing cooks, and it was like catered level meal. They hired a jazz pianist to come in one year. And I mean, just to say thank you to their staff, to let us know they loved us. But the way we knew it best was when after we had Beck's 2 younger siblings. And they were up and mobile. So I was in charge of the youth group, and we would have, 20 or 30 youth in the front. They would all sit in the front and cause trouble. And then after the service, Bex, our middle child would bolt for the door to go get donuts. And we had some people who were like, "Have you already had one?" Who
helped me?
Who helped keep the parent boundaries
and
where they needed to be.
Then you had these youth.
Because this child of mine knew if I asked 5 different people at 5 different times, I might get 5 donuts. Smart kid, but
but they would run. Sure, get down there. And the youth would split because it was in a circle. And they were like triangulating. It was like
see me trying to help my children.
it was hunting a velociraptor in Jurassic Park. They had night vision goggles. And they had Nerf guns.
Nerf guns.
To bring that child down.
And they would catch, like, because there were several, like, younger kids. And, like, they would...
Yeah, it wasn't just our state.
Yeah, they would carry for...
They helped all of the parents.
Right.
Keep
all these teenagers running around catching all of the toddlers.
And on top of that...
Great.
So, they loved our family where we were. They loved us how we were. There was this guy who was about 6'8". Goodness for real. He was a lawyer. Amazingly serious. He was just so very soft-spoken.
I think I know where this is going.
And
very reserved,
very
straight-laced
reserved
kind of person.
He's, as I said, a lawyer. Put all of your stereotypical, not like sleazy lawyer, but just...
very good lawyer.
I am
Very
5
reserved.
steps away from sitting on a judge's bench, kind of. No, probably 1 step away from sitting on the judge's bench, right? He and his wife were both lawyers. Both very serious until you got to know them.
Yes.
And then she was, oh man, talk
She
about a
was
sense
fun.
of humor. She,
But going back to your
Strap in.
original story,
back,
This is why Mom is here.
what was I talking
I'm the
about?
rails.
So anyway, so he's just standing there, minding his own business. And the week before, Bex had met him.
Bex was 5.
Bex was 5.
He's 6'8". They're way
Tiny.
down here somewhere.
Little.
Bex runs up and gives him a tackle hug.
Full speed.
Full speed.
Around the knees.
Almost takes him down. I mean, they were doing stage combat not knowing you don't make contact.
Yeah.
From that age. Well, even before that.
I was doing
We'll tell that story later. Shh. Suspense. Suspense.
So many stories so little
So many
time.
stories of Bex's violence.
That was for him, by the way.
There.
Ow! Help! See what I mean?
Shoulder check.
Bex's violence. They get it from I am gentle. So anyway.
I tackle hugged a guy and
Yeah.
almost knocked him over.
When we were leaving that church, he was like, "Do you remember when?" I mean, and he was like, "I will never forget." Bex. So special. I mean, and just you had such a place in his heart,
And so many others.
and so many others. I mean, and we'll, I'm sure, tell the story about Tom
It
and
was
Tell
Papa
us.
Bear.
about that
Yes.
sometime.
So many stories.
But yeah, so find yourself a place, and even if you don't get that space for long, we were only there for 5.5
5
years,
years,
five,
yeah.
just over 5 years. We were only there for 5 years, but there were times over the last 15 years since we've been there that we've gone, oh man, that was there. There are places where where I'm loved.
Where, you're in a new time later where you don't feel loved. And we could go back to that time in our mind and just be like, there was a time and place, there will be a time and place again
Yeah.
Right.
where we're loved.
You have the evidence to fall back on.
You draw the
Exactly.
resource, right? It's yeah. So my hope and prayer for you is that you have some of those resources to draw from. That you have the place that you know that you know that you know. Your head, your heart, and your gut. That you are loved. You do belong. You don't have to fit in. You belong.
There's a difference.
There is a big difference. You belong. And that you find the people with whom you belong. And that they make sure you know that they're glad you're a part of their life.
And we're glad you're here too.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye!
Thank you so much for listening. If you want access to the blooper reels, because there are plenty, and more healing stories, you can subscribe to Roguish Goblin Stories at bexrowan.org/RGS. And leave a comment. Share RGS with a friend that you know could use a laugh or a virtual hug. Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you're loved, you're not alone. See you next time.